Glad to know you're staying with us on the program. This morning, no better time to start having a conversation about all of these issues regarding the NSAS protests and the carnage that we recorded in this country in the last couple of days, particularly starting from on Monday. Regarding the jailbreaking in Benin City, Edo State, for example, we understand the governor has given the fleeing inmates, those who left the correctional facility unauthorized, up until Friday before close of business to return voluntarily, and nothing will be done to them. We hope they take advantage of that lifeline, make the most of that window, and return as directed. But let's turn our attention now to something that's more on the front burner, something probably more visible than several other of the highlights that we've seen associated with this very, very disturbing carnage that we're seeing in this country, which is the Lekki massacre, as many persons now call it. Okay, the implication of it and all of the controversies around it, the fact that some persons are saying soldiers were deployed, others saying soldiers not deployed, and yet you have video evidence all over the place of how that's not only that soldiers were deployed, but there was shooting, sporadic shooting at the Lekki Bridge on Tuesday evening. And of course, officially the army has come out to debunk the fact that soldiers were deployed to that spot. The Lagos State governor says soldiers were deployed. So it has become pretty much more like a case of your word against mine. I'm joined by a barrister, Matthias Obayoana, apparently a legal practitioner, to help us throw some light into these issues because they are as disturbing as they come. As we make progress into the discussion too, we will give you an opportunity to also lend your voice to the conversation using our WhatsApp channel this morning. But please, we want you to stay with the issues. It is not an opportunity to throw tantrums and cast aspersion or sling mud at people or institutions. We want to stay with the issues. We want to have a conversation as Nigerians about the Nigeria project. That's what we want to do. It's as simple as that. It's always a pleasure to have you in the program, by the way.
Thank you, Yui.
I know these times have called for sober reflection. They've given us opportunity to want to rethink the Nigeria as we know it. Look at Lagos on Tuesday, for example. I mean, people are yet to recover from that carnage that we saw in Lagos. And then you have those who are also saying, look, this is coming from the most part people who are dissatisfied with the system called Nigeria. What have been your reactions to all of these developments?
Well, it has always been recognized worldwide and constitutionally the right to protest. When one is aggrieved about the state of affairs, you have a right to voice your grievance. We are in a constitutional democracy. And in a country like Nigeria that practices democracy, that right to express your opinion is a fundamental human right, which every Nigerian has the right to exercise, which even the present president, alongside others, have exercised when it was President Jonathan that was in power, and nobody disturbed him. So we do not, it's quite surprising to see peaceful protesters being shot at in developed climes, and that's what ought reasonably to be, even in Nigeria. When you have persons protesting, you're supposed to have the security personnel on guard, following them, protecting them, to ensure that other outrageous element does not come in, other persons do not come in to infiltrate the protest, hijack it, and because they have a purpose for their protest. So you follow them through and ensure that everything is peaceful. Down to, I can understand like this in this situation, it's quite different because people are protesting against SARS, NSAS,
which is a unit of the police.
A unit of the police, but a unit of the police, it is not against the entire security architecture or system in Nigeria. So if you are saying NSAS, that does not mean that other units of the police should not be on ground to protect the protesters. So rather than protect the protesters, you find men on uniform, in uniform, now attacking persons who are protesting. That is the greatest shame of the millennium.
There's a concern that some persons have raised, concern about the fact that these protests, because we've seen pockets of peaceful protests across the country, from Lagos to Benin, from Abuja to Port Harcourt, for example. And they are saying, because this protest in particular is not structured, there's no leadership arrangement, for example, there's a chance that they never wrote to the police authorities to request cover, to even notify, for example, them of the fact that they had a protest planned. That could be the reason police cover was not provided for them.
That argument is lame. Whether you write to, under the Public Order Act, that is where you're supposed to actually write to the police to tell them that you want to carry out a protest, and then to ask for permission to go ahead or not to go ahead. That order has been struck down by law, constitutionally, by the law court, that it's a constitutional, it runs counter to the provision of the Constitution. The only ground, the only circumstance under which the right to freedom of expression and the fundamental right given in the Constitution could be taken away, is by a law that is made reasonably justifiable in a democratic system. Just like now you're talking about the curfew that is being put in place now. That a law ought to be passed by the state assembly or national assembly, to just like was done during the COVID-19 crisis issues, to say that for so reason people should not be found in gatherings, people should not be found in large numbers, and the rest of it. A law was passed with that effect to regulate to regulate what happens. So such would have been passed. I'm sure that's what will empower most of the states, governments, and even the federal to issue curfew order to ensure that law and order is maintained. So those are kind of laws that are reasonably justifiable in a democratic system. To say that you are kind of a protest, and the protest is a peaceful protest, it's not a riot. It is not a riot. Under the state constitution, when you are carrying out a riot or mutiny, so you that you are not attacking human beings, you're attacking buildings, the police have the right, in terms of quell the riot, to use, a certain level of force to bring it under control. This is not a riot. These are people who are just peacefully protesting, carrying on Nigerian flags. At that time, to say that they did not write to you, that is why you don't send people to them. The police ought to be proactive. They should know what is going on in the society. They should know the disenchantment, with the kind of situation we find ourselves in Nigeria. So if people are not coming out to protest and you are aware, you need not wait to be informed. To send your people, because you are told to be there to maintain law and order. That's what the primary function of the police, to maintain law and order. To be there to ensure that people are protesting, send people down there, to cordon off the area and ensure that they are being followed, that they don't ever grow violent. That is what the duty of the police. To now see that they don't inform you. That is why they didn't send people to go and protect those who are protesting. That is a very lame argument in the list. And now we could also see some disturbing videos, if this anything to go by, of certain persons, with SUVs and all of that, actually bringing thugs to attack those who are protesting peacefully. Those also actually try to create mayhem in the process. People are protesting, their vehicles are being burnt by some other persons. People are protesting, other persons are now attacking those who are protesting. And those persons are now being given cover by certain persons, in SUVs, which is suspected to be, a sponsor agent, either by the state or whichever way, are just supposed to be the situation on ground. Then that what happened in Abuja, going to what happened in Lagos, people at Lekki, carrying on Nigerian flags, chanting a solidarity song,
singing national anthem.
They didn't go anywhere. They were just at particular spots. They have been there for a number of days, and that was not palatable to the government or whichever powers that be. You now sponsor persons to go and attack them. You went there first of all. You remove security cameras. Why would you do so?
The firm that manages the security cameras and the lights came out to say they had to put out the lights in particular because they were following the 24-hour curfew that had been imposed by the Lagos State government. So they had to do that at about 3 o'clock. I mean, they had to even send their staff home at about 3. Then at about at 7 p.m. they had to turn off the lights in compliance with the 24-hour curfew imposed by the Lagos State government. Does that not make sense to you?
Another lame argument. How could you turn off the security light? The light, security cameras and the light is to ensure that the area is being covered, to ensure that violent crimes or whatever sort of crime is not carried out, and to ensure that if anything like that happens, you can get the full clear picture of what happened. How can you, in compliance with curfew, turn off light? Especially when the curfew was extended to 9 o'clock, and you turn off your light according to you by 7 o'clock or whatever. It's completely unjustifiable. Whatever reason they are giving for this, cannot hold at all. There's no basis for whatever.
Now that we're talking about
Lagos.
the Lekki incident, let's also look at the efforts that the state governor in particular had made. We understand he went to see those who had been hospitalized, those who sustained various degrees of injuries from the incidents, and then he gave a live broadcast yesterday where he talked about how that he has not engaged the army authorities on the incident from Tuesday night. And then on top of all that, he also talked about how that those behind these are beyond him, that he doesn't have prerogative as to calling the shots over the army. Yet people are blaming the state governor to say he either didn't do anything about it or he didn't do enough. Is it appropriate to pin the blame on the Lagos state governor?
He is the chief security officer of the state.
Who doesn't have
He ought to know
authority over the army.
That is why we are talking about, under the constitution, I've been talking about this reform for a very long time. There's a need for this reform. You can see how helpless he appears to be now. Benue state government also appear helpless at a particular point in time. And those state government also appear helpless at a particular point in time during the elections. You could see that they cannot actually dish out orders to the police or the security agency and expect them to carry out those orders. Especially when they are at a particular point in time, the interest of the police force or the security agency is not at idem with that of the state government. So you give them directive, they will refuse to comply because they are taking their orders from the federal.
Right.
That ought not to be. That ought to be. There ought to be a decentralized police system, security system, to ensure that the governor, who is the chief security officer of the state, can truly take responsibility for certain actions because they are fully in control of security architecture in their region. Now he is not in control, and he has a reason now to explain why he is not in control. So now who is in control? He has called for a probe now to find out, the circumstances surrounding the attack of peaceful protesters at Lekki. He has called for that probe because, according to him, he's not in control. He's not fully in control. So we need to know who we are just in control. We have seen video shots of persons in military uniform opening fire, machine gun at these persons who are protesting. Who are those persons? Who brought them there? Why could those things happen at the same time, almost at the same time with the light being switched off? It was soon after the light was switched off, the attack started. So who gave instruction for the light to be switched off? Who gave the command for them to fire at the peaceful protesters? Who gave the command to remove security cameras in a state? So if, according to him, he's really helpless and he couldn't give orders that could be obeyed, we need to actually find out who were those persons. Thank God there are some video shots. Who were those persons? Who was the young man in military uniform in the armored tank that was firing at protesters? Others also firing gunshots in the air. Those who removed security cameras. Those who switched off the lighting system. Who, according to him now, was just complying with orders. What they call it, curfew. Is there no curfew now? Am I not in the studio now? We went through the road peacefully. They are not the army right now. Those who are actually deployed in those states, they are not attacking anyone as I have seen myself. They are there trying to maintain a peace to ensure that people go about their affairs peacefully. That thank God for the curfew that have been imposed. It has actually does a lot of tension. Now I could find my way to drive to the studio now to talk to our people. To continue to maintain that peace. That is what ought to be. That curfew was imposed to ensure that there's peace and order in society. So in situation whereby you have people now carrying out protest, by the time they declare that curfew, they'll be already at Lekki, mind you. Right. And Lagos is not like Edo, it's not that congested and all of that. So people come from far and wide to that particular spot. You declare a curfew by 4 o'clock. You don't expect them to be in their various homes before 4. And then you find that it's no longer realistic. You extended it to 9 o'clock. Before 9. Before the coffee took effect. Before the coffee could take effect, people are switching on cameras. People have been stationed already because they have already been given a predetermined mindset to say, look, these people must be dislodged. Must you dislodge them by force? We're
going to allow our viewers to be part of this discussion this morning just by pushing your contributions through our WhatsApp number. We'll let you in on that number and we put it up on the screen for you, so you can send your WhatsApp contributions to us. Please just ensure you stay on the issues we're looking at. Not just the Lekki issue is much more like an entry point into the conversation. We're using that as a basis to discuss the protests, its implications for Nigeria. Just on Monday, the Lagos Chambers of Commerce and Industry said Nigeria had already at that time lost no less than 700 billion naira on account of these protests. And we've been a few more days into the protest now, beyond Monday, and you're wondering how much this country would have lost in addition, especially given the colossal damage, the enormity of the damage that we had seen across Lagos states yesterday alone. So the hope is that security agencies are doing the needful to ensure we stem this tide and nip it in the bud as quickly as possible. So we'll let you in on that, and then you make your contributions via WhatsApp this morning. The Senate reached, they came up with a bunch of resolutions on Tuesday. One of them being that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, must come out to address Nigerians on the specifics of these protests. And then at least say something about the direction where we're heading as a country at this point. And then, of course, yesterday again, the spokesman of the Senate and Senator Ali Ndome from from Borno State also came out to remind the president that even though the Senate cannot give him orders, but they are hoping that he will favorably consider their, as it were, advice to him to address the country on these issues. And yesterday, incidentally, there was FEC meeting in Abuja where, of course, the president presided. And people were thinking that this issue would be one of the highlights, one of the bullet points, as it were, that you would see in the end as part of the Federal Executive Council meeting from yesterday. But none of that has happened. And Nigerians are wondering, could that be indicative of the fact that the president and, of course, by extension, the federal government is busy working on the 5-point demands of the protesters, so that's more of priority to them. So it's not about addressing the country, yet they would address the country when it's appropriate. Could that be what we're dealing with?
Well, this is a very pathetic situation and a very disturbing one at that. The president cannot play the ostrich at a time like this, when the entire country is on fire. You know, from what I see, from my own perspective, it appears to me that he and certain of his advisors believe that the protest is actually meant to dislodge them, to remove them from power. And so for that reason, the protesters have been on ground for so long, and they find there was a need for them to be dislodged. And now that they have been dislodged and there's crisis in their midst, so they better place silent and let them sort themselves out. That shouldn't be. When he, Mr. President, joined the protesters during the President Jonathan's era, they were never attacked. He had a reason to be there to say, look, we don't like the system. We wanted a change.
But we also didn't have cases of people burning government buildings, courts,
because
for example.
There were also no agent sponsor to attack them. How could people be protesting in Abuja where they parked their cars? Certain persons went there to set fire on them. How could people be protesting in Abuja and certain young man, you know, who calls himself an independent people of Abuja, whatever I call them, you know, came on board to threaten those who are protesting, that they give them 48 hours to leave Abuja and stop protesting, otherwise they will unleash violence on them. And true to his threats, vehicles were burnt, houses of persons, they were driven to their various homes and had been attacked in their, we saw video of people calling, you know, SOS, in their various homes, attacked to their various homes. And the government seems not to be doing anything about it, as it is normal. Oh, you people are here to dislodge me. If you are here to dislodge me, I will send my people after you. They will also dislodge you. So now they are happy that the protest is over as far as they are concerned. Rather, they are created beasts in a number of persons. That is what happened in Lagos. People are protesting peacefully. You shot at them. People who were not even, there were celebrities there, others, we were calling people to remain calm, not to be violent, to sit there in one spot, not to allow people to infiltrate their circle, to carry Nigerian flag, they are singing solidarity song, airing their own view and opinion, just as Mr. President has once done. You went and opened fire on them. And you expect people to remain as calm as they have been. Look at the situation in Lagos. So it's so sad that as it is now, you can find out that every person that has been connected to the presidency, or you know, that appear to be in support of the present government in power, appear to be the object of the attack of this protester. To say, well, if you are close to Mr. President, and Mr. President is not doing anything about what is going on in our society, you cannot speak to him, you cannot address us, you just leave us as if we are just there. See, this is contrary to the social contract theory. What actually brought about governance in the first instance? Before now, man was in the state of nature. Man was able to enforce their right in their own way. And so the life of man was brutish, nasty, and short.
Right.
And then people felt the need to say, look, let there be a social contract. Let us come together as, you know, as a community. Let us appoint leaders or servants who will serve us, who will ensure that everything is in order. That was how the essence of governance came into being. That is why you find in the Constitution, Chapter 2, the fundamental objective and the principle of state policy, where it is stated here that sovereignty resides in the people.
Not in government.
Not in government, in the people. So we are the reason why you are there. You are our servant. We voted for you. We brought you in there. This is not a military era. In the military era, the constitution is normally suspended, and then they rule by decrees. But here we say no. The constitution says we, the people of Nigeria, hereby give to ourselves these laws. Yes, we have been complaining that we, people of Nigeria, really did not give to ourselves the laws. That is why they have been calling for constitutional conference since 1994. Let us come together. Let us look at how we will live together. The amalgamation of Nigeria in 1914 by Lord Lugard, that have forced the South and the North together, you know, over 100 years. And the people are saying, look, it is time for us to negotiate this situation. Let us see how best it will be. Let us have our own system of democracy that will work for Nigerians. And yet, you pay deaf ears. People have been speaking, people have been clamoring to say, look, let there be a need for constitutional reform. Let there be a true federalism. Right now, what we are probably saying, it is not a federalism as such, it's whereby the state government have no powers over the security architecture in their various states. They are helpless. That is not federalism. You refuse to listen. You are professors of law who are there in government, who advise Mr. President, you refuse to listen. People are not being selfish about, you know, about their own self. All they care, I am in power now, let me protect whatever I have. We have an adage in Benin that only who say when one person feels that I have arrived in a society where many are suffering squalor, penury, and poverty. You who feel that you have arrived, you are in the deepest part of poverty. You are still in outer poverty. So we should expect them. Those who feel that I'm close to the corridors of power, I'm not being affected right now. They are the ones affected. You very soon will be an object of attack of those ones who feel should be neglected. So everyone must speak up. That's why I salute the courage of Mr. Akpetabia, who is the, you know, Speaker of the House of Reps, who has said, look, I will not sign in budget. Go and look at into the grievances of the people. Go and finance education. Go and look at whatever they are calling for, the reform they are asking for you.
And then it talks about compensation for victims of police brutality. That the 2021 budget must provide for them.
Exactly. I will not sign this budget until this thing is done. So we need people like him, who are close to government, to speak up, to ensure that the right things are done.
Somebody made a point.
Do it properly. So for Mr. President to keep quiet and ignore the people. People are calling you, speak to us, you ignore the people. You want to set the country on fire? This shouldn't be. Mr. President should be patriotic enough to talk to Nigerians, to allay the fears of Nigerians, to say, look, I will look at these issues. I will create the reform. He told them when he was campaigning that there will be a constitutional reform. There will be restructuring. He showed all of this to us, and people voted for him. People clamored for him. While others were still, you know, talking about his antecedent. Say, look, this man you're talking about now, it may not be as you are looking at it. Say, no, he's a chain man. He's a non-nonsense man. He's a man that will bring discipline. Yeah. He's a man that will fight corruption. People were talking about him, and yet they went and voted. And then he was there. He's now going contrary to what he has promised.
I want to quickly take a look at some of the contributions coming through Barrister Matthias Obayiwana, who is helping us make sense of many of these issues that we're seeing across the country, particularly starting from Tuesday evening at the Lekki area in Lagos. Good morning, ITV. You say our governors, okay, I guess you're saying, okay, you said our governors are coming out to address their states. You say, where is Obaseki? Let him come out and calm his people down. Well, we understand that the governor has taken charge of this situation as far as the state is concerned. We are even hearing now that the governor led a team yesterday just to ensure that everything possible is done to bring this situation under control. As I'm sure you are aware, the governor is the one who has also given up until Friday before close of business for those fleeing inmates from the two correctional facilities in Benin City, Edo State, to return voluntarily, and nothing will be done to them. And the governor has also announced a couple of measures to ensure that we nip this situation as quickly as possible in the bud. Remember too, it's the state government that declared 24-hour curfew So we cannot say the government hasn't done anything about this. The facts speak for themselves. And then you're saying again, what happened in Lekki is unfair to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You say it's bad to the good citizen of this great country. We understand everybody has been speaking up against that, including people beyond this country. Good morning, ITV. You say at the moment we have no government. This from Abel in Abuja. I doubt we have a government in place. As a matter of fact, if you're speaking of the federal government in particular, the Federal Executive Council, chaired by the president himself, met yesterday. You say, who is the one that gave the military the order to be shooting at the protesters at Lekki toll gates? I think the best thing now is for the president. Okay, you said the president should do the needful. You said the president should address the country. Okay, that's been the call, really, even from those in positions of authority. They are all calling for the president to address the country as far as these issues are concerned. You say, Beauty from Benin, this is a clear message that we, the youths, mean nothing to Nigeria. What will it take for the president to speak to us as far as this protest is concerned? You say the government, it's painful that the government has not spoken up, the federal government, you mean in particular, about this issue. We're going to come back to all those your contributions that are coming through right now, but I want us to also take a look at the fact that there are those who are now saying that the protesters probably also got it wrong at a point. That at that point where the government said, look, the IG particularly said, we have disbanded SARS, we are introducing SWAT. Of course, the protesters are saying we need neither of them, right? And then the federal government said, we have heard your cry. The 5-point demands that you have made, they've been acknowledged. And then, of course, we are going to roll out policies and legislative framework to ensure that we are able to midwife that whole process and bring all of these 5-point issues to fruition. So there are those who are saying at that point, the protesters should have given the government a break, because these things are not going to happen overnight. They're not going to happen over a period of one weekend. Did the protesters actually miss it at any point with this protest?
I don't think the protesters missed it. You see, the End SARS protest was, or rather, is symbolic. And beyond SARS, you know, it has been shown over time that End SARS is a reorientational agenda, that the way Nigerians and our leaders, you know, reason and treat Nigerians, fellow Nigerians, there should be a reorientation. You know, now what were the SARS people doing? They violated fundamental rights of Nigerians. You see somebody on the highway or wherever, you start attacking him, you seize his phone, you attack him, you brutalize him, you take him to your station, you deny him access to his family, contrary to what the law has stated. It's surprising to me whether they were not giving any proper training. The police, because under the Constitution, even the Administration of Criminal Justice Law and several other laws that are being in place, the rights to human beings, fundamental human rights, should be respected even by security agencies. That is why it's there in the Constitution. Presumption of innocence. When anybody is alleged or suspected to have committed a criminal offense or any offense, that person is presumed innocent until you find him guilty. Even when you find him guilty, the law court with order will tell you how you will deal with him. If you deal with him contrary to that, you have also violated the law. So that is why they miss it also. So it's a reorientation. So NSAS, the other security agencies who also behave like these persons. There are government persons who also behave like these persons. Nigerians are complaining. They are writing a petition to your office asking you to look at certain issues. You ignore the petition. You will not respond to it quickly. You are also behaving like the SARS people. You are even in your home. Your wife is bringing issue before you. You want to write over short without even listening to her because you believe that only your view should carry say. You refuse to yield to superior viewpoint. You are a SARS. You are in a work environment. You are asking for a tip off before you can even carry out your own assigned duties.
That you are paid for.
Yes.
That you even apply for.
That you have even applied for. So this is a reorientation of the system. That government, people have been clamoring for example now. Let there be a restructuring. They're not saying divide Nigeria.
I love the fact that you raised this issue.
So,
it appears there's an obvious blur between, secession and restructuring. Every time you talk about restructuring, there are people who feel, well, all you're saying is let's split the country. Is that what it means?
No, we are not saying you should break Nigeria. We are only telling you to reorganize it in such a way that we work as it had worked before in the past.
Right.
When we had the Midwestern region, the various regional government, they were in control of their resources, they were in control of everything within their region, their police and all of that. Everything was going on smoothly. So we are telling you that go back to that old system. The mistake that was made that changed it from the regional government to states, we are saying it was a grave mistake. Return it back to where it used to be.
Right.
Allow the various states to grow at their pace. In fact, the larger the population, the greater the strength politically, even in the international sphere. So we are not asking that Nigeria should break up. We are only telling you to restructure the country. Eggs were put together in the Constitutional Conference. The report of the conference is there. You refuse to implement it. People keep talking, you pay deaf ears. These are the issues, SARS, reorientation. Change your mindset. Listen to the people that are put through in governance over them. Under the social contract theory, you are not there to govern yourself. You are not a leader. You are not an autocratic leader. But it appears that whatever we are saying now appears to be autocracy rather than democracy. In a true democracy, you must listen to the people. So the social Nigeria, I saw in the news, some social media some few days ago, certain persons now saying that, oh, they're talking about oil in the south. That the oil in the south, the one in the offshore, is really because the landmass in the north actually in control of the oil in the south. So the southerners should not talk about they have oil. The oil that they're talking about now is actually a product of the landmass of the north. And so in that argument, that oil is for all of us. Because as far as you are concerned, the oil could pass underground to the north to develop the north. What we are simply saying that if you allow restructuring, the gold that you are mining in the north, or the other mineral resources that we have that have not even be tapped, the various state government or regional government will have the mindset to now tap into those resources, derive revenue from it, develop their region to the best of their ability. Even with regional government, the Western region, look at the educational system that they brought to be. You can see the edge that the West have now in education over other parts of the country. Because they just saw that as a focal point.
Right.
They must educate their people. So the southern part of Nigeria, northern part of Nigeria, they also have their own agenda of how to develop their various regions. We are not saying break Nigeria. We are not saying at the end of the day, when you have security architecture, you can have your police within the state, even local government authority police. You have all that within the state. You have the court system. When you onboard the court, for example, now you have the high court of various states, you should have the appellate court in the various states, you should have the Supreme Court of the various states or regions. Just like you have there in develop a constitutional democracy like America. Then you can have a federal Supreme Court where constitutional issues that affect the entire nation, country can come to. You can find that in such situation, things are moving faster, people are getting better educated, the resources are better tapped and used. Now you see you are creating NDDC. The money that you took from oil, now you send some into NDDC. And because people saw it as an avenue to begin to pilfer, to take away resources that belong to every other one for a few individuals. Now they are mismanaging the money that is not there. The region is not being developed. So this structure is not just the federal government. Every government in various regions that are also not be doing well, that are using our resources to develop our own region, they too should be called to question. So the NSAS protest went beyond the police. We use that as a metaphor to look at the police themselves. Those that you can actually see. You see them on the street beating them and all of that. That is how Nigerians have been bastardized. People will finish finish school, they will not get a job to do. People cannot drive on a smooth road. People cannot have electricity supply. Basic amenities is being denied to people. We are living in a hellish situation. People leave Nigeria, they go out there to work in abroad. They don't know the kind of job they do. Because they have their basic amenities, they are comfortable. Whereas we are a country so blessed. We are blessed, more blessed than Dubai. Another country that has those natural resources. We don't suffer natural disasters. We are a country so blessed so much natural resources, but we have bad leadership. So we are asking for that reorientation. Our leaders should sit back instead of filling their funds and taking abroad. Sit back. Look at how you can use to develop our state, our region, our country. That is what we are calling for, accountability. So the federal government should not look at it as a way to say, you want to now reduce my powers. Of course, there's so much powers centered at the federal level.
At the center.
At the center. So instead of taking all the resources to the center and instead of beginning to dish, look at the federal roads. They are not good. The state will initially repairing it and asking for federal to pay them back. They say, no, stop, don't repair the roads again. We will do it by ourselves. And if you are not doing it, these are roads within the various states. Why don't you allow them to take control?
I'm going to
abandon the exclusive legislative list and allow the various
to take some of the responsibilities.
Exactly.
I'm going to come back to I'm sure going to come back to you, but we have contributions coming through our WhatsApp channel. My question is, there was curfew during the COVID-19 in Lagos. Were the cameras taken off in alignment with the curfew? That's the question you are asking. Okay, let's see a few more contributions now as they're coming through that WhatsApp channel this morning. So we just give you that chance to lend your voice to the discussion. Keep them coming. The number is on your screen. Just stay with the issue and ensure that you advance your contributions through the WhatsApp channel that you have on your screen right now. I want to talk to you about something. It's a beautiful thing that you are a lawyer. Judicial commissions of inquiry have been set up by many states already in compliance with the NEC meeting that had been held on account of these same protests to address many of these issues that have been articulated by the protesters. Edo State, for example, is one of the states that have set up a judicial commission of inquiry. River State has done that as well now. Do you see this as the way forward? Could it be a very important or critical, as it were, ingredients in all of the things we're putting together to ensure that we address all of these issues?
Well, I don't know. Let me not be pessimistic to say at the end of the day, the report, that will come out from it will be such that will lack powers or the teeth to bite. Now we are having a judicial panel of inquiry into the activities of a federal agency.
Is that a misstep?
It is not a misstep. I think it's a way of placating the people, and getting them to just be calm and to identify persons whose fundamental human rights have been violated by these police officers,
yes.
And then even within the ongoing protests, those who have been affected, and then when you identify them, is it the state government that will now use their own money to pay for the injury that will be caused by a federal agency, or will the federal government now send money to the various states to pay compensation for the persons who have been affected by a federal agency? So that's why the essence of unbundling the exclusive list comes into play. Restructuring. Give these states some power. Assuming the state governor or governors have control over the security architecture in their state, like someone who is complaining now. I don't have control over what happened. I didn't order the military. I didn't tell them what to do. I'm surprised. Let us have an inquiry into what has happened. You are calling for that now. If we had control over what has happened, then the panel of inquiry could look into these issues, fish out those bad eggs, and recommend disciplinary action against them and implement that report. So now you cannot. So you need for your lame budget that you will not say, okay, fine, you have been violated, your rights have been violated, so person have been killed. Okay, I will give you XYZ from the resources that was sent to you from the center.
Yes.
They are giving
as monthly allocation.
Exactly, monthly allocation to pay salaries, to repair those, and all of that. Then from that one on, you now begin to pay persons whose rights have been violated by a federal agency. So, yes, it's keeping us busy and making everybody, calm down. It's good enough. But I don't know where they will get the resources from to take care of these persons, unless the federal government will not send resources to the state. Especially to handle
for this purpose.
This situation.
But there's an angle to this whole conversation again. I mean, beyond Nigeria, we've seen people like Joe Biden, the Democratic presidential candidates in the U.S. Presidential election of November 3rd. We've seen people like Beyonce, for instance. We've seen Naomi Campbell, international model. We've seen even Hillary Clinton, for instance, and of course the UN. All of them speaking against the massacre that was recorded at Lekki on Tuesday night. In what ways does that change the conversation for the better?
Well, the image of the country, has been further bastardized by the fact that the fathers of this country, those, apart from Bojabia Miller, I have not seen any other, a government, federal government leader, or or a person in authority speaking in that wise. I've not seen any other. Mr. President, they refuse to speak. They are begging him, talk to your people. So you find people outside the countries, just of this country, speaking up, saying, look, this thing that has happened is wrong. You cannot do this. You cannot do this. People are talking. Our president is not saying anything. So therefore that shows that, look, do we really have this level of responsibility in governance in Nigeria as we speak? So therefore that justify the NSAS protest. Like I told you, it's a metaphor for orientation. So Mr. President or the presidency, the entire presidency need to be reoriented. Look, you are not there for yourself. The fundamental objective and the principle of state policies provide chapter 2 of the Constitution that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of governance. Why are you there, Mr. President? Are you there for yourself? Are you there for a section of the country? No. You are there to ensure the security and welfare of the people of Nigeria. And the people of Nigeria are being killed. People of Nigeria are complaining. You have said nothing about it. People close to you are not even see anything about it apart from Bojabia Miller, who said, look, I will not sign this budget.
Can we see?
You must look at these issues. So what will stop Mr. President and his handlers from coming and actually showing to the people how you intend to look at the issues? Look at the issues. You change SARS to SWAT overnight. I will ask you to change the name, just like you change the prisons to correctional homes. You just really change the name. Is it really a correctional home as such? We have been there severally, and we have seen, people who are suffering. India, the facility is small. You don't enlarge the facility. People have just, put like sardine into one tiny space, and those whose cases have not even been decided yet. They are undergoing punishment and torture. That's why I will put it, because that's not a place any human being would like to be, whether you actually guilty of the offense or not. If it's a correctional home, you must come out of that place better, not dehumanized. We saw a number of those who ran out when the hoodlums to go and break the prison. You saw them. You saw how malnourished they were. They were like skeletons. You saw them. Only a few of those ones, maybe who just came in, they had not been so long that they came in there. They were still looking robust and running up and down. Those very weak ones, you saw them. They have been there for ages. How are they being fed? How are they being taken care of? Is it really a correctional home? So changing just SARS to SWAT, does this change the mentality of the police? We saw a video in social media of how some protesters were being attacked. And then we saw somebody when they shot at a young man who was bleeding, and they went and we heard somebody say, finish him. And he went close to the person and he finished him. It's a judicial killing. Even in the midst of the so-called NSAS protest, has it changed orientation? So you see, it's an orientational agenda. Nigeria should change the way they think. The security agencies should change the way they think. Put the people first. We are the reason why you are in governance. Every authority who is in government should remember that the reason why you are there, according to chapter 2 of the Constitution, is the people. Sovereignty resides in the people. So if you are there on your own, and you say you don't care about what the people are saying, you don't care about whatever is going on, you have not done anything good.
There's a question.
So Mr. President is keeping quiet, and those in the national community, they are speaking for. We encourage them to continue to speak until the government will listen. If he cannot hear the cries of their people, they should bring a screen in front of the Mr. President. Let them see what's going on in Lekki, other parts of the. Let them see. If he cannot even hear what's going on, at least he can see what is going on and react. How can you be so relaxed at a time like this?
There's a part of the argument. There's a part of the argument a lot of persons have said we are not amplifying, which is the welfare of the police, for example. I mean, the people who make up the police force are also people's spouses, they're people's children, they're people's relatives, and so on. And so forth. Who is protesting, as it were, for the police? Who is saying the police has got to have better barracks, better kits, for example? I know somebody in my lifetime who came out of the police academy, the police college, in early 2000. I was still much a small boy. He didn't have enough buttons to run through his shirts. It took a principal inspector of police to lend him 2 or 3 buttons to make it up. The person is still alive. The point I'm trying to make with all this is, these are issues the police have to grapple with. Who is advancing the cause of the police in Nigeria?
That is the concern. We have seen cases where the military complain that you have been sent to the war from Boko Haram. You don't have food to eat. They are malnourished. They are suffering. and they are ill-equipped. And so when they are just sent out there, they are just like suicide mission, and they open target for people to the slaughter. They have complained, and where such persons come out to agitate, as Nigerians are agitating for the entire country, the agitation is not, when we say NSAS, like I told you, it's not only for the people themselves, even for the security agencies, because we know they are ill-equipped. We saw in the video, in the news yesterday, how some persons were arrested at Ugbowo. They took them to Ugbowo police station and they were rejected. They said, look, no, we don't want to kill these people because these people can come here now and burn our station because we are keeping them. We are ill-equipped. We cannot keep them. Take them to state.
So the protesters had no choice than to take them away.
To take them away. So they too are ill-equipped. They do not have security cameras in the police stations and the various divisions. If they do, I'm sure those who came to attack the station, they will have a clear view of who they are, and they can go after them. I doubt if they do. They do not have an uninterrupted power supply in their station. They do not have material to work. You still go to police station to tell you bring money to go and buy paper and biro. You brought a complaint. They will ask you to bring money to buy this material to work, and you begin to ask, why are you asking me for money to do it? Are you not be giving supplies. So these are the questions that are being asked. Who are those at the leadership structure all over the country? So the fight is also for the police. It's also for the army. It's also for every segment of the nation for us to have a reorientation and to rejig the system, to restructure the system, and ensure that the money that be voted for certain arm of government, for certain agency of government, that money should be used. See, I don't see any reason why at a time like this, our law should not be looked at more closely to ensure that persons who are engaged themselves in high power corruption, whether high or low power, whichever way, not any element of corruption at all in the system, either through nepotism, sectionalism, or subsidizing the economy, whatever way, they should make a public show of them, as is being done in China. That is why you find them. Chinese economy is thriving. Nobody is subsidizing or sabotaging it. Everybody is sure that everything is done properly. So here you find people, they put you in public office, you want to grab for yourself and for generations yet unborn and hide them somewhere. Whereas the state, the agencies and apparatus, they are not being properly funded. They cannot complain, just like the judiciary. The judiciary cannot complain for itself. Many of them are underpaid. They cannot complain for themselves. They are not, they don't have proper gadgets to ensure that they carry out their duties effortlessly. You see them still writing in longhand. They have about cases on the cost list that they will do.
So what was
issues? So we are asking for
like a 360-degree overhaul.
Exactly of the system. If we're talking about autonomy, financial autonomy, and independence of the judiciary, is there the question like I told you, over time, it's not being implemented.
Yes.
Why can you not vote money for the judiciary and ensure that the judicial heads use the money to ensure that this total overhaul they need, that is much needed in the judiciary, is carried out? The judges cannot complain. Only the bar can complain for them. And people who are complaining, let there be an overhaul. The police cannot complain. If the police and the army complain for themselves, they will say mutiny on the room trial. How can you do this? You can look at the kind of training that they also go through. They train them, they put the beast in them in the course of training.
Apparently this issue.
At the end, they unleash this violence.
This discussion is obviously not.
There must be a change.
Yeah, it's obviously not exhaustive. The issues are numerous, and Barrister Matthias.
And just before you leave, sir, if you are rounding off now, just before you leave, we are also calling during this medium to call on the federal government to institutionalize national human rights courts. We have national industrial courts. We have other specialized courts.
I think you and I.
We should have a national human rights court.
You and I will have
to ensure that these human rights issues are properly taken care of.
Yes. So
because the bulk of this crisis on human rights.
We're going to have to take this issue to law and you, where we can do something a bit more elaborate on this human rights issue, and then we have a thematic approach to the problems that are associated with human rights. Barrister Matthias Obayo, and I want to thank you especially for sticking your chin out to be here this morning.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we understand a lot of persons are constrained now on account of these protests scattered across the country. I'm sure this country will be fine ultimately. We just have to do the needful, the government and the people. We're taking a quick break now. We're back shortly to wrap it up on the program. Stay with us.